Now that you've been exploring the creation of your welcome video, the synchronous, the asynchronous session, and experimenting with how to set up the most effective way to facilitate online learning, we wanted to just touch base with you all and identify some of the amazing things that we're seeing and also provide some suggestions as you move forward. So um, one of the things that we want to remind everybody that with this professional learning environment, we are giving you a fair amount of freedom to explore, to experiment, and to collaborate. And some people are thinking, well, why aren't you jumping into discussions? Why aren't you answering every question? And that's a valid question. And a lot of people assume that that's what a teacher's supposed to do. But we found through our experience and through the research that if we jump into the discussions, we kill the discussions. If we jump into the discussions, we kill your creativity. If we jump in to the discussions, we actually get in your way and get in the way of your learning. Quick thoughts on this before we go on?
Yeah, I have to agree with you. One of the things I love to see is the natural collaboration between folks that are participating in the professional learning experience. The commenting back and forth, ooh, I loved how you use this tool. Ooh, I didn't know that you could do a video in Canva. Or yeah, this is a great way to present this idea. Can I snag this? And that's one of the things we don't want to interrupt. We want to step back and give our learners choice, ownership, and voice through authentic opportunities and connecting and collaborating together. Those are my thoughts.
And there's one more thing that we need to touch on, and that is, well, what if it's wrong? What is a right way to do it? I don't know. I don't think there is a right way to do a welcome video. I don't know if there's a right way to do a synchronous session. There's probably a more effective way. The important thing we want you to remember is that we've provided examples, we've provided context, we pointed you to some of the more effective ways to do things, but you need to explore and to experiment. Getting it right or wrong means that we're forcing you into a formula. There's no formula for this. There's no formula for this type of instruction. Now, there are recommendations, there are guidelines, there are best practices, which we point you to, but don't worry about being wrong or right. You want to explore, you want to experiment. Now, on that note, I want to commend the folks for that exploration and experimentation. I've heard terms like, I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm not sure about this, but I'm going to try this. So whenever we see things like that, it confirms that you are buying into this notion that it's your opportunity to explore and to experiment. The creativity that we're seeing is wonderful. I've seen some tools I hadn't seen before. People are experimenting with things like Canva and doing audio tracks on Google Slides, which sometimes don't work if you don't get the permissions right. So, there's errors that are happening, but there's also the error correction. So we're seeing a lot of activity happening in the welcome session, and the synchronous and asynchronous forums are starting to come to life, and people are posting and exploring and experimenting. What have you been noticing, Talissa?
I think one of the error correction issues that we see is really important because this is the time to experiment within the safe learning environment in Canvas. Just you connecting with your cohort, you can have opportunity to say, oh, this link didn't work or this didn't match up quite right. And, it kind of reminds me of going back to that first year of teaching. It takes a little time to get your momentum. You're not going to have all the answers right away. Actually, it took me to my 5th year to really get things right. Until I felt very comfortable. So you're going to test things, try things. Ooh, this worked, this didn't work. And the best thing you can do is run these things past your peers and then share these things with your peers. This way, you can all pull from each other, collect, grab each other's ideas. This worked, this didn't. Okay, now I know this. Let's move forward. That's what this entire professional learning experience is about. It's really just taking ideas, testing them out, experiencing the infinite possibilities to do things different ways and different tools to engage and move forward with it. And okay, I've got that mastered. Now on to the next. And that's really our thinking behind stepping back as learning facilitators and giving our teachers that opportunity to experience learning in a totally different way, experience professional learning in a totally different way.
Well, the other thing I want to confirm here is that what we're modeling for you is part of our learning philosophy, that is to create a significant learning environment where you give your learners choice, ownership, and voice through authentic learning opportunities. We're giving you the opportunity to explore and to experiment and test out your ideas before you do them in your class. So these things are real. We are stepping back. We're encouraging you to take that ownership. And that's tough for a teacher. Both Talissa and I are looking at this and thinking, oh, there's a great flurry of activity. And then for a couple of days, things die down and we're thinking, oh no, what happened? Do we need to jump in, right? So we want to control, we want to guide, we want to direct, which I think all of you understand that principle. You need to trust your learner. You need to trust the fact that they are going to explore and they're going to experiment. Some people take a little bit more time. Some people need a lot more time. I know I've been doing this long enough. Some people like to lurk for a long time, 2, 3 weeks. And then once they see how everything's going to fit, boom, there's a flurry of activity. The welcome, the async, sync happens all together. Things just happen in amazing short order, but they needed that time to put it together. So this is your time. This is your space. This is your opportunity to explore, to experiment. Now, you're not alone. You've got your colleagues to work with, and you also have us. Don't forget, you can ask us a very specific question, and you will notice if you ask us a specific question, we do respond on the forums quite quickly, but you can also send us an email and communicate with us that way. We don't want you to be left out there standing high and dry. We want to help you. We want to encourage you. And maybe if you want to do a private Zoom session or a quick email or a quick phone call, don't hesitate. Reach out. Our job is to help you be successful because we're excited about the opportunity that you have to facilitate online learning and make a major difference in your learners' lives.